high school girl just won a gold medal in her track and field competition, and the MAGA crowd is losing its mind. Not because she cheated or rules were broken, but because she's transgender. Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where we expose how faith-based power grabs aren't just changing policy, they're targeting people. This is Theocracy Watch. Donald Trump is calling for a large-scale fine to go against the state of California for refusing to discriminate against a girl who played in a sport at her school. The California Interscholastic Federation followed state law and even added lanes to accommodate concerns so there were no competitive advantages. But despite these measures, the Trump administration, through the DOJ, claims that California's policies violate the Equal Protection Clause and threatens legal action. This from an administration that often decries federal overreach and demands smaller government while rolling out collective punishment on an entire state because of sports ball games. There's no scandal here. The MAGA crowd are just using federal power like a weapon to intimidate children. People of all ages and genders enjoy playing sports. It's good for your mind, body, and sense of self. If these people were actually worried about protecting girls, they'd stop punishing them for being authentic and rowing up millions of haters on a world platform. Moreover, targeting a teenager for political gain is not only unethical, but also dangerous. Trump is using the White House as his stage and turning our rights into political theater. The goal is public humiliation, and the audience is on its feet, drooling at a chance to dehumanize a child. Trump shows no concern for this girl's safety as he throws temper tantrums and tweet tirades and true social sadism. The MAGA cult would ruin a child's life that admit their worldview isn't reality. Threatening states, punishing children, and sending angry mobs of white Christian nationalists to intimidate and bully a teen is only the kind of love a Christian could give. Their hypocrisy is as blatant as the contradictions in the Bible. They say they're saving the children, but all I see are adults weaponizing scripture to crush one kid under the weight of their fragile beliefs, making her a target of their so-called morality. So anyway, happy Pride Month, y'all. The only kids who need protecting around here are the ones who go to church. So stay curious.
You know, it amazes me, Tertia. I don't know if you have the same thing down there where you're at in South Africa. But here, it really just amazes me how our right-leaning conservative politicians and Christians will go to any length to hurt just a few people. There is a small, tiny, like one trans individual who wants to participate in some school event. And in order to harm that one individual and force them out, they will cut funding for an entire state, thousands of children. And this isn't just, I mean, they did the same thing to Maine. Remember Miss Ryan?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she stood up to them and she won, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. I don't remember the outcome of it, if it's even still, but still the fact that they even threatened to do that, they're so keen. And again, I want to make a point out to everybody else. These are, and I use the word carefully, trans people, trans individuals. However, they're children. These are children we're talking about. Above all, these are children, yes. These are underage individuals that, regardless of their sexual identity, these conservatives are using millions of dollars of funds as a leverage to hurt these people. The Department of Justice hurting all these other people. You know, you've seen movies like I don't know, what was it? War movies where the one guy in the platoon, he's like not pulling up his sweat, so everybody has to do push-ups. Then at night, they all beat him with a thing because he made them do push-ups. Yeah. This is what they're doing. They're trying to make that person the ire of all the hundreds of thousands of other people who are now being punished for their actions. And so is that person safe? Does that make that, I'm sorry, is that child safe? Does that make that child safe? Do they care if that child's safe?
When a dictator says he's going to act like a dictator, maybe we should just believe him. Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where we track how the holy war on democracy is coming at us one authoritarian fever dream at a time. This is Theocracy Watch. This week, a New York Times report confirms something that sounds like it came out of a dystopian Netflix series. The Trump administration is building a mega database, a centralized hub of hundreds of data points on every American, and they're doing it with the help from Peter Thiel's Palantir. That's the same Palantir that built ICE's migrant tracking tools, the same one that has military contracts with the Israeli Defense Forces, and the same one whose CEO bragged about using tech to scare our enemies and occasionally kill them. Peak late-stage surveillance capitalism, like vibes of Black Mirror meets ICE. And now they're helping Trump roll out what insiders are already calling a deportation machine. Here's how it works. Palantir software, powered by AI, scoops up your data from the IRS, the HHS, the DHS, and even the Department of Education. Your vaccine status, student loans, tax filings, and citizenship records all fed into a single surveillance system. And with Trump's allies embedded across every federal agency, from J.D. Vance to former Palantir engineers now running health and tech departments, there's little oversight. Efficiency is just a brand name. Under the hood, it's a full-service repression machine designed to track dissent, deport vulnerable, and crown billionaires as high priests of the panopticon. Even Trump's own supporters are getting nervous. Far-right influencers like Nick Fuentes, if you can believe it, are calling it the ultimate betrayal. MAGA influencers are asking, did I vote for this? And the answer is yes, you did vote for this. This is the playbook, and now you're watching it go live. Thanks for that. From Gaza to Georgia, the surveillance state is expanding, not to protect lives, but to determine whose lives matter less. And thanks to Palantir, the same AI tools fueling genocide in Palestine are now being wired into our own government, with Israel's apartheid state gaining influence not just over foreign policy, but inside our federal agencies. They say it's to keep us safe, but we never got a say. Our data is being used to sort, silence, and surveil us, while the architects hide behind the code. In the end, the real danger isn't that we're all being watched, it's that no one is watching them. So get curious, speak up, and stay loud. I said this was coming. I mean, I'm not the only person that said this was coming, but I knew it was coming. I just didn't realize it would be 6 months in and it would be getting flirted with. And they're probably going to try to roll it out.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Can y'all hear Ollie over there snoring?
I can't. I have my fan on like... I can't hear anything really.
Sorry. If he's snoring, Palantir can hear it, and they're reporting it to Trump right now.
He's going to get in trouble on the job.
You know, there are a lot of things that it just blows my mind how conservatives, right-wing people are afraid of something or don't like something or you know, they cry about something. Then once in power, they do that thing. And then the ones that aren't doing the thing, the ones that are getting the thing done to them, cry about it. I mean, yeah, this is almost right out of 1984, if any of you are old enough to remember the
right. Yeah, it feels like a some kind of Orwellian fever dream mixed with modern day sci-fi of some sort, you know?
It does. There's two different things that are going on that are possible here. One is that, man, they know everything about you. If you've done something wrong, they know. If you've gone on the internet to a website that was a little risque or whatever that you shouldn't have, they know. And they could use that against you. That's the one thing that's kind of scary. Is that scary? Anybody? Show of hands. Wow. That's scary. You know what the second part that's scary is? These people who have this power, these are the same right-wing Christian conservative mentality kind of persons who are known to lie, obfuscate, do all this stuff. So it doesn't end with just the fact that you actually did something. And you don't have to have done something. Nope. The people who now know everything you did can put something there and say you did something.
Or they'll just use anything you've said in social media,
Right.
like one little thing you said about Trump or something, and they can take that and turn that into treason or blasphemy or what have you. I mean, that's what this infrastructure being set up is for, to monitor our every move. And it's not about like, you know, did you do something wrong? Did you run a stop sign? Like, they're looking for people like us. They're looking for people that are dissenters. That's who they're going for, because if they can shut all of those voices down, they'll have an easier time at it.
Absolutely. And like you're talking about, okay, so shit goes wrong and we get into a total totalitarian state. I'm like, man, I got to do something. So I go down, I'm going to join them so I can show them, and I'm going to get in, I'm going to infiltrate them because I look like them, right? And then they go back in my social media from back in whenever, and they can clearly tell that I'm not, you know what I mean? It's not like it was back in World War II, whenever there was the White Rose and the Maquis and things like that, and people actually could easily go infiltrate the German army. At this point, it'd be very difficult with facial recognition software, you know. And now, of course, with one of the things that really gets hard is before long, things are going to get so rough, they may find a hard time finding the people willing to carry out some of their orders.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that some of these people would have a brain, but you know that they're in the cult. You know, you're part of the cult. So are you? What comes first, your humanity or your identity with the cult?
Mm-hmm.
A former NFL player just caught a flag on the play in the middle of mass. Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where we track how Christian institutions protect power, not people. This is Theocracy Watch. Asking for the truth got Jake McQuaid escorted out, but he wasn't just some random heckler. The 14-year NFL veteran and lifelong member of Our Lady of the Visitation stood up during Mass and asked church leadership a question the Archdiocese had been dodging for weeks. Yes or no? Did the priest use the parish computer to look at pornography? He was talking about Father Mark Bachman, who's now heading out on sabbatical, but the deeper wound runs back decades to Father Geoff Drew, the priest who confirmed Jake as a kid. Drew was removed from ministry in 2019 after years of complaints, boundary violations with teens, uninvited hugs, and inappropriate messages to minors. The Archdiocese knew all this and still kept him in rotation. And it wasn't until 2020 that Drew was finally arrested and charged back in the 1980s with a child. Drew got several years for raping, but meanwhile, the church is playing dress up like the robe can somehow mask the smell of garbage. The porn allegation Jake asked about involved a different priest, but it followed the same script. The warning signs, the digital footprints, the parishioner complaints, and still silence. No transparency, no answers, just an official letter from the Archbishop calling it unsubstantiated and warning parishioners not to gossip. But the parishioners here are not the problem. It's the pattern of abuse. Remember Bishop Joseph Binzer? He lost his job in 2020 for failing to report early allegations against Drew. Yet somehow, these same oversight failures keep happening. It's always protect the institution, shield the clerics, bury the truth, and silence the dissenters. And when someone finally stands up and demands answers like Jake did, the response isn't justice, it's police escorts and damage control. They escorted him out of the church because the only thing they care about more fiercely than the doctrine is protecting themselves. So until next time, keep asking questions, stay curious, and stand up for justice. Good job, Jake. That was very brave of him, very courageous, and I'm so glad that he did that.
Go, Jake. It's your birthday. Way to go.
Mm-hmm. The fact they called the police and escorted him out, like, that's messed up. Why can't you just answer the question?
I suspect we may see more of that as more people get frustrated with what's going on and being shoved. Because a lot of these people are the boards, the school board is now heavily religious, you know? And so it's going to be really hard whenever you stand up and try to give your voice and have somebody listen to your reason. They're just going to have you hauled off.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so they but they even make it harder for people to be heard who can be there. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw when the first step of the Ten Commandments bill here in Texas was going on. They started put it through, and people were planning on going to protest or even to testify in front of the Capitol. So there was a group of people that went to Austin. One of them was genetically modified skeptic. Okay, he has a channel. All right, Drew is his name. And so he went, and he was joined by some people, and they stayed at the Capitol for a full 24 hours before they were allowed to speak. And so they do this because they know that people are not going to be able to stay for a full 24 hours. Okay, like they have to take time off work. If they have children, they have to have somebody to take care of their children. If they have pets, they have to have somebody go and take care of their pets. If they leave, they can't come back and get in line. It's like you're in there, you stay there for the full time, and then you get to testify. So they started with something like 12 people, and by the time they got there, it was less than half of them that were able to stay for that full time. So yeah, like even if you're able to do that type of stuff, they're trying to make it as hard as possible for people to fight back.
A federal judge just heard arguments about banning the most common abortion pill in America, backed by a study so unscientific, the journal who published it retracted it faster than you can say peer review. Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where extremist Christian think tanks aren't just rewriting the law, they're busy rewriting science too. This is Theocracy Watch. Front and center in this legal sideshow is mifepristone, a pill that's been used safely for over 20 years by more than 5 million people. But the far-right GOP now claim it's dangerous, and they're using junk science to make the case. The study they brought was funded by anti-abortion groups and authored by folks tied to crisis pregnancy centers. Eventually, the journal who printed the study pulled it, citing lack of scientific rigor. They're throwing pseudoscience at the wall and hoping a sympathetic judge makes it stick. And they may have found their guy. The case was steered straight to U.S. District Judge Matthew Kaczmarek, a Trump appointee with a record of opposing reproductive freedom. Coincidence? I call that strategy. Bottom line is they're trying to ban abortion pills nationwide using data that wouldn't pass a high school science fair. And here's why. Mifepristone is used in nearly 2/3 of all abortions in the U.S. And if they can kill the pill, they don't need to pass a federal ban. The courts will do the dirty work for them. Even more disturbing, if this ruling stands, it could unravel how the FDA approves medication altogether. Today it's mifepristone, tomorrow it's birth control, PrEP, or gender-affirming care. One rogue ruling could sideline decades of scientific review. This lawsuit is backed by the Alliance Defending Freedom, who I've mentioned here several times on Theocracy Watch. They're the same far-right legal machine pushing anti-trans laws, book bans, and Project 2025. They're not pro-life, they're anti. We're witnessing a coordinated, deliberate attack happening in plain sight. The Heritage Foundation and its allies are treating the courts like a vending machine, inserting bad research and outcomes religious policy. No cap. Mifepristone is safer than Tylenol, Cialis, and Viagra, but none of that matters when the people in charge think faith outranks facts. The real danger here is the belief that women should bleed for someone else's ideology. Mifepristone is safe, theocracy isn't. So until next time, stay asking questions and call your representatives. This has been Theocracy Watch.
This is no surprise at all. Why? Why can't they just mind their own damn business? Why do they have to go? They want to do this so badly. What we need is some kind of registry to where they register. If you go to a church or if you have a certain belief, then you register. And every doctor's office and every pharmacy and all this bullshit across the country can't sell you or deal with you whenever it comes to abortions. That way you can't have an abortion. The people in your church can't have an abortion and that kind of thing. Why do they have to go imposing this bullshit, this theocratic nonsense on everybody else? It's amazing how they can stop that their shoulder doesn't blow out from beating trans people, that they can stop long enough to go to the abortion issue. And it's like one oppressive issue to another oppressive issue. Oh my goodness, gays are getting married? Can't have that. And they start beating on the gays. It's one thing after another after another. And why the hell can't they just mind their own damn business?
What do you get when Christian nationalists claim they're protecting kids online? A bill that protects Trump instead. Surprise, surprise. Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where the religious right talks about freedom while quietly drafting the blueprints for censorship, surveillance, and state-approved truth. This is Theocracy Watch. The latest assault on reality comes from the form of the Take It Down Act, a deceptively named bill pitched as a solution to revenge porn and child exploitation. But dig just a little deeper and you'll find something else entirely. A tool that could be used to scrub inconvenient truths from the internet, especially when those truths involve powerful men behaving badly. Introduced by Senators Ted Cruz and Amy Klobuchar, with bipartisan support in the House, is being championed not just in Congress, but by the Southern Baptist Convention Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission, who framed it as a moral safeguard.
Surprise,
what the bill proposes is a centralized takedown system where users can request the removal of intimate or personal images, which sounds good in theory, right? But the language is dangerously vague. Experts warn it could be exploited to erase legitimate public interest content like leaked videos, courtroom evidence, or documentation of abuse under the excuse of privacy. That includes potential use by politicians, pastors, or billionaires who want to rewrite their digital legacy. This Trojan horse plays right into the Christian nationalist strategy. Push censorship disguises morality, prioritize image over accountability, claim victimhood while silencing critics. The same lawmakers crying about cancel culture are now trying to legally cancel anything that threatens their public persona. And do not forget, this comes as Trump continues to weaponize religion, paint himself as a martyr, and push for immunity from legal consequences. The Take It Down Act will be wielded like a weapon, not to protect victims, but to shield the powerful from accountability. It gives the elite a backdoor to erase evidence, rewrite their sins, and vanish from the digital record washed in the blood of the algorithm. They aren't looking for justice. They want the power to sin in private and punish in public. And this bill hands them that eraser. So if you are from PA, Minnesota, Florida, or Michigan, call your reps and tell them this bill is amorphous and will be used to purge evidence, dissent, and anything that exposes the hands who pull the strings. Okay, so until next time, stay focused, stay curious, and please call your reps.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Take it down. Klobuchar. Okay.
Something like
I did have it at first, and then, as I read it, I was like, what the fuck am I saying?
We like to be respectful. Good point. We like to be respectful. So, Amy, if you're watching, sorry. So now one of the things that we've got going on here, so once again, the SBC, the Southern Baptist Convention, rears its ugly head.
They love this bill. Sounds great.
And not in defense of victims, not in defense of really the faith. It's just so they can protect their own people who have hurt children.
Exactly. But even extrapolate that out. How are you going to make this system work? Who are the ones responsible for taking it down? Does that mean that every social media is going to have a new agency where they just respond to these claims and every single claim is just granted? And trust me, I absolutely think that revenge porn is disgusting and exploiting children is disgusting and should come down. But what will be the oversight? Will there be oversight, or will these social media companies be so overwhelmed with the amount of requests that they're getting that the only thing they can do is just freaking agree? Just take it down, take it down, take it down. Doesn't even matter if it has anything to do with exploitation.
Absolutely. That's right.
They're just going to erase.